Welcome to another episode of Healing Her Halo. I'm joined by Angus Smith. She was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and is a devoted mother of two daughters and a proud Glam-Ma of two grandchildren. Her journey into the realm of overall well being began when her daughter was diagnosed with cancer at the tender age of 10. This life changing experience taught her invaluable lessons and ignited a passion for nurturing the mind, body, and soul. Today, Angus is dedicated to serving, encouraging, and uplifting others. She finds profound gratitude in sharing her life's wisdom and guiding others to navigate through life's challenges with ease and peace. Despite the ups and downs, she embraces every experience knowing they have shaped her into the person she is today. Angus believes that out of her traumas and pain comes purpose, and she finds joy in serving others, using her journey to inspire and empower those around her. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. And, first of all, I just want to say that you have such a beautiful smile.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You really do. You really
Thank
do. You
you.
just like are such a joy. You're such a light. Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Yes,
And I
thank
really want to
you.
start just by asking you, how did you get your name? Your name is so unique.
Thank you. That's a good question. Okay, so back home in Louisiana, so back in the day, they used to have like, I think 15 women in a room in a hospital. And so my mom was next to this lady, and she was going to name me Angela. And the lady had already picked the name out because my mom was going to name me Angela too. So she was like, I need to change her name. And so her and
Oh,
my auntie came up with Angus. And I
oh
always
my
get,
gosh.
yeah, I always get like, are you Scottish? Do you really know what your name means? I'm like, yes, I know what it
Oh.
means. It's all over the world. And I said, if I was getting the residuals for it, I'll just be made. So I just
Okay.
embrace the name. A lot of people kind of mispronounce it, say Inga Unger. I'm like Angus, like the beef, or Angus, like
Angus.
ACDC. You remember the guitar player in ACDC? His name is Angus.
Oh
So I was
my
like,
god. Okay.
it's the same thing. And then
Okay.
I'll get, well,
Okay.
Angus was a man. No, it's a woman's name too. So
It's
that's
so
where it came
unique. It's
from.
so
Yeah.
unique.
Thank you.
You're my first Angus. So you're the first person I ever met with
Yay!
this name. Yeah. Hopefully I'm your first patient.
Yeah, you are. I know that you are, and I love that. And I'm on that journey of teaching me patience as we speak.
Wow. Wow.
So it's
Patience
perfect.
is such a interesting journey.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Wow. Well, I just thank you so much for sharing your energy with me today
Yes.
and my audience, Healing Her Halo audience. So, a lot about this show is just sharing, the
Hmm.
highs and the lows and the things that's worked and maybe
Yes.
some things that didn't on your healing journey.
Yes.
And, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about your personal story. And you can start anywhere you want to start. But what really motivated you to become this leader and this woman, so strong, so bubbly and bright,
Yes.
with this soul to empower others? How did you get there?
So I'm gonna give you some cliff notes because we can be here all day.
Okay.
so so I'm originally from Baton Rouge, and my job moved me here to Austin, Texas. So I'm in Austin, Texas. I've been in Austin 25 years. And so that was a big thing for me to move at that time, back 25 years ago. And so when I moved here, the job I worked for, it was like about 15 to 16 years I worked for the job. Well, they told us that they were going to lay us off again. So they gave us the option to either stay in Austin or either
Mhm.
move to Baltimore, Maryland. And I was like, I would love to go to Maryland. I have my uncles and cousins up there, but I'm not about that snow life. So I took
Oh
my,
no. I'm
no,
from Philly,
I'm
so
like,
I understand.
yeah, I'm like, I just, So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm just going to take my service package, and I am going to go to hair school because I always did people hair. And so I was like, I might as well
Mhm.
go ahead and take up a trade and do hair. So around the time I was going to hair school, I noticed my daughter, Tierney, at the age of 10. So I have two daughters. I have my older daughter and I have my baby girl. So at the age of
Oh, what's
10,
their
yeah,
names?
Okay, Tierney is the oldest one. Tierney is the oldest one.
Okay.
That's the
Tierney.
one who had cancer at the age of 10. And Danielle,
Okay.
she's the baby. Well, she's 23.
No.
She's gonna always be my baby.
Oh, still a
So,
baby. Still
still
your
my baby.
baby.
Yeah, she's still my baby. So, and she don't like me saying that,
That's
but she's
right.
still my baby. So,
No.
yeah, so I was laid off and I was, getting going to school, doing my trade or whatever. And so my daughter, I would notice that she would just be really slow at times, and she would have fevers. And it was just, I was like, what is
Mhm.
going on? So I took her to the doctor, and when they checked her, they were checking her, her head and everything. It was like, it's just lice. She just had, not lice, she had dandruff built up. So I was like,
Mhm.
dandruff built up. And so I was like, okay. So they told me just use Head and Shoulders. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, use Head and Shoulders. But I still kept seeing like these symptoms of her, and it wasn't normal. And so it wasn't until
Mhm.
she passed out at school, and they
Oh
called
my
me and
God.
told me she passed out. And I said, is she coherent? They said, yes. I said, I'm on my way to come and get her. So this time I took her to her doctor. And when I went,
Mhm.
and I had just had Danielle. So when I went, the doctor
So you
checked
had
her.
a
He
newborn at the time,
had
at
a
the same time that
newborn.
this is going
Yes,
on? Oh my
yes.
goodness.
And I'm gonna
Oh
have to
my
tell you
goodness.
a little bit of that story too. So, when the doctor checked her, he said she has cancer. I said, wait, she has what? What? Wait a minute, what is going on? And so I didn't process that. I was like, wait,
In that
they
moment, it was
in that
just a
moment,
shock to
yeah,
you.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
because they were putting her on the stretcher to go to the children's hospital. And I was like, I need to call my extended family because my family was home in Baton Rouge, but I had my church family here. And so I was like, let me call them, and so I can have some type of support because I'm like, what is going on? So the
Mhm.
doctor was saying for her blood level was a 2. For a normal child, it's a 12. So she was
Oh
almost
my
out of here.
goodness.
And that explained like how she was pale and all. So
Mhm.
we got to the hospital, and I had people waiting there. I don't know who was there. I was just going from arm to arm just crying. And so she had to get a blood transfusion. And so we did that, and we went through the
And was
process.
that
It was
was that immediate? Was that like when you
immediate,
guys found out you had to immediately have the blood transfusion? That's a
as
lot.
soon
That's a
as
lot happening at
possible.
once.
Yeah, it was so much. Now, prior to that, while this was going on, I went through a stage of depression. Well, that really kept it on. So my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, right? My
Mhm.
job had just laid me off. That's number two. And then the father of my child, Danielle, it wasn't really a relationship. But in my head, you know how we as women, it's like, okay, we're gonna be together. I
Yeah.
was putting this all in
Yeah.
my head, causing my own suffering. Now that I think about it, I was causing my own suffering because he didn't agree to that. But in my mind, that's what it was. And I'm gonna be transparent
Mhm.
with you on this.
Well,
So,
well, I appreciate your transparency.
yes. So, and when I was 7 months pregnant, he had gotten married on me. So that was like
What?
another part. Yeah, it was a lot.
Okay.
I'm
It's
just giving
it's
you
a
some
lot
cliff
to
notes.
unpack here.
I told you,
It's
Gary,
a it's a lot to unpack
it's
here.
a lot to unpack. And so it was that I was hit with that child,
Mhm.
fighting for her life. Um Trying to I lost myself completely in this whole thing. Like I completely lost myself. I wanted to give up. I didn't even want to talk to my family. I was in a very dark place. And I like I tell everybody, I know what depression feels like. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like when you're trying to get out of it, but I felt like I was in jail in my own brain. As much as I wanted to get out, I was stuck. And so fast forward. So like I said, I'm gonna give you some cliff notes because it's a lot.
Mhm.
And so my daughter, I was like, okay, I need to get myself together because my child is fighting for her life. I'm losing myself in the midst of it. Then I have a newborn.
Mm-hmm.
So, we went through it, and I never forget. My daughter told me at the age of 10, she was getting her transmission, her medicines and stuff through her IV,
Mm-hmm.
and she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Mom," I was crying, and she said, "Mama, didn't you say God was going to take care of us?" I was like, "You're right.
Wow.
You're right." So
Yeah.
at that moment, I was like, "I got to get myself together. My child is fighting for her life. What am I doing?"
What a
We
soul riveting moment of her,
Yes,
you know, saying that in that moment. And it
yes,
sounds like you, as a mother, have instilled so many good values and principles inside of your
yes.
children that in a
Hmm.
moment like that, that would rise to the surface. In a
Yes,
moment when she needed it most, you needed it
I
most.
needed it. Yes. And I have to, you know what? I have to thank my father for that. My dad transitioned 2 years ago. And like I tell
I'm
everybody,
sorry.
my dad was a druggie. And when I say that, people are like, a druggie, he was a drug. I was like, he drug us to church. We had no choice but to be at church, and
Yeah.
he laid that foundation for us, down for us. And so that was instilled in me. And so it helped me to instill that in my girls. And for her to say that at the age of 10 years old, yes, I really, really needed that. And so
Yeah.
fast
And it shows
forward,
how important
yes,
faith is in during those times of darkness, you know?
absolutely, absolutely. Because I lost it. I really did. I lost it. But I had to realize God had a plan all that time, but I couldn't see it because I was so focused on all the stuff, all the noise that was going on. I I couldn't focus on, you need to pray, you need to read your Bible. I didn't. All I was focused on, my child is laying up here almost about to lose her life, and so
Hmm.
um it was so many blessings came out of that. God was with us. I was unemployed for 5 years, and let's go back.
During the
I was
time,
during the time. I'm a single parent, right? Two girls. During that time, God provided for us that whole time while I wasn't able to work. He kept us. She was
yeah,
even
again,
able to do the Make a Wish Foundation. We went to Walt Disney World, and she was able to take two
wow,
of her best friends from church. She was in the back then. Lance Armstrong, you remember he was like this, the motorcycle, not the motorcycle, the bicyclist.
this,
She
hmm,
was
hmm,
in his commercial, and she
that's
got to meet him
amazing.
back then. And all she had to do was wave out the window. That was it.
No,
It took 8 hours for that commercial, you know. And
yeah,
so I look at that, all the kids that were in that commercial. Some of those kids are not here anymore. And I tell my daughter, I said, God has you here for a reason. Her
yes,
porta cap that was there on, they had to put on her chest. I said, always remember that mark, because God still got plans for you. I didn't understand it back
that's
then. Like,
good.
why my child? Why am I going through this? But I
And
have to
let's
go.
and let's
Hmm.
definitely, yeah, and let's definitely unpack that because I
Yeah.
don't want to, gloss over the fact that you encountered such a shock in your
Whew.
life
Come on.
during a time when that I'm sure that would be the last thing that any mother would be thinking of about a
Yes.
possibility even of something bad. You might think, "Oh, make sure watch for the cars when you cross the street or
Mhm. Mhm.
anything that you could think of, right? But nobody
Right.
would think that such a illness would attack
Mm.
a family like this. So, when you were in those moments in the early days of not knowing what was going to happen, what was
Mhm.
keeping you, because you still had to keep your composure in some way to be a mother
Yes.
and still do the things that you need to do every day. How did you do that? What was pulling you through to maintain in some way any sort of sanity during that time to keep pushing forward?
My church family, my extended church family, and my family. That was the only way I was able to make it. They had support groups that helped us through the way too. Um, it was that was the only way I was able to make it. The only way. And
Community.
prayers, community. Yes,
Hmm.
community. That was the only way. If it hadn't been for that, I don't know where I would be. And, My daughter is good now. She'll be 33 on the 13th of this month. Yes.
Woo!
And
Yes.
she's working in the field, the medical field. That's what she wanted to work in. So she's actually working in the medical field. Yeah. So
What an amazing testimony.
yes, she's working in
And
that
happy
medical
early
field.
birthday to her. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Yes, she's going to be the
Wow,
30, big
wow.
33. I said all of us are the 30, the threes, because I'm 53. She'll be 33, and my baby girl is 23. So it's like all
23.
the
Oh
same.
my gosh. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah.
And let me just say, you don't look a day past 33
Thank
yourself.
you. Thank you. I
Oh
appreciate
my
that.
gosh.
It's
You look so
God.
beautiful.
Thank you. It's all, I give God all the praise and glory. And I told him, I said, God, if you, I said the prayer, I said, God, if you get me out this situation, everything, all the suffering that I was causing, I take ownership for that. Now that I look back, all the stuff that I went through, I take full ownership of that suffering because I was causing that. I said, if you just get me out this situation, I promise you, I will tell my story. Now, did he get me out of it right then and there? No. He wanted me to sit in that. I had to sit in all that for a while before he moved me out of it. So now, all those women, different women I was in my teenage years, my 20s, my 30s. The 30s were that was the hardest part because that's when I went through that with tyranny during the 30s. And then
Mhm.
when my 40s, and someone told me, she said, Angus, when you hit your 50s, things are going to change. And I was like, girl, whatever. But now I see. And it
Wow.
took my dad, when my dad transitioned, that's when things just started opening up because all of his teachings, it really like manifested. My
And what
dad,
was one of the
I'm
yeah, what
sorry, go
was
ahead.
one of the most powerful lessons that your father taught you?
Serve, to be of service. My dad served the community of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He he was a man of many hats. He was a deacon. He was the pastor's right hand man. He drove the church van for 42 plus years. Even in his retirement, he kept going. He served. He served effortlessly.
That's so powerful. That's so thank you for sharing that. And I'm so sorry for the loss of your father.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you so
But
much.
he raised a beautiful warrior.
Thank
A
you. Thank you.
beautiful warrior. And thank you for
Yeah.
serving us today with your story
Yes.
and all the lessons that you've learned and the way that you're giving back despite
Yes.
everything that you've gone through and your honesty. Your
Yes.
honesty and
Thank you.
transparency is so moving because
Thank you.
it's really helping. It's helping me right now. So I know it's going to be
Thank
helping the women that
you.
are going to be listening, and we can
Yes.
relate so much to what you're saying about the different transitions of the different women you have
Yes.
been.
The different women. And another thing, you know what I've done now? All those different women that I was, I thank them. I'm so grateful for them. I thank each and every one of them. I lay flowers at their feet. I thank them because if it hadn't been for those different types of women, I wouldn't have been the woman that I am today. I wouldn't have been the person that I'm in. I had to go through all of that stuff in order for me to be the person I am. There was a time I was comparing myself to other women. Why can't I be like that? I want to talk like her. I want to be like that. I want to voice my voice. But I had to go through some stuff. God knew I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. It wasn't until I hit my 50s and when my dad transitioned, things started opening up. And for me, serving, for me, I get to serve others like him. I get to continue his legacy and serve. And that's what I want to continue to do and share my story because it was nobody but God. And that's where I'm at. That's what I'm
Thank
at.
you, God. Thank you, God, for you. Thank
Yes.
you, God, for you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
God, for you and your story
Yes.
and your light that you have. And
Yes.
it has not dimmed at all. And
Yes.
a part of, the purpose of this show and the title of this show is to
Hmm.
help restore the light
Yes,
back into women, you know?
absolutely. And that's what I
And
have a heart for. I just that's I use my pain for my purpose now. You
Mhm.
know, it was a time it was I couldn't talk about it. But now it's like it's healing for me. I love to encourage, I love to uplift, I love to another thing, I love to exercise. So that was another way I was able to overcome all those things. For me, movement is body. Movement is medicine. Let me just say
it's
that's my movement is medicine. But movement can be
movement
body
is
too.
medicine.
Movement is
We move in the
medicine.
body. We
Yes,
move in the
that part
body.
there. There you go. And so,
It's so key.
yeah, and I skipped out. I meant to tell you. So another thing that helped me. Have you heard of Black Girls Run? So
I
we're
have.
they're all over the world. That was another thing because I turned to exercising because, like I said, I was losing myself. So at the time when I joined, these ladies were running like 13, 15 miles. And I was like, wait a minute, I can't do all that. But I was like, okay, let me just do what I can. I'm going to do my 2 to 3 miles and then I'll work myself up to it. So I just came
Mhm.
showing up for myself every time. I just kept coming, kept motivating myself, kept motivating the ladies around me. And so I got to the point I was like, let me do a 5K. I'm feeling good. Let me do that. Got my
Yeah.
5Ks. I was like, I'm feeling myself. Let me do a 10K. So I got the 10Ks under my belt. I was like, I'm feeling myself some more. So let me do a half marathon, 13.1 mile. Got that done. I was like, okay, let me see if
So
I can
you're
do a
proving
full
to
marathon.
yourself. So
I
you're
had
proving to
I
yourself
had
that
proved
you
to
could do
myself
it.
I can do it, and it was all mental. I did my first marathon. I am retired from it. I just wanted to prove to myself I can do it. Will I do it again? I don't know. But so I
We've
became
been there, done that.
been there, done that, and so that was in my 40s, and so I became the ambassador. I'm still the ambassador for Black Girls Run here in Austin, Texas, and I love it. And I always say Black Girls Run
That's
saved
amazing.
my life because I had an outlet too. So I take that to
That's
heart
so
as well.
important. Now,
Yes,
that's important because another thing is practical tools,
yes,
practical, actionable tools. And you're saying
yes.
being a part of Black Girls Run, having that community
Hmm.
with your church and leaning on community.
Yes.
It sounds like community was a huge part of carrying you through those times and showing you
Hmm.
different versions of yourself that you were
Yes.
becoming in your 50s, right? And what
Yes.
was one of
Yes.
the,
Yes.
and I know you were saying there were different perceptions that you had of yourself at
Hmm.
different age points, right?
Hmm.
So what was the first thing that you noticed was different when you got in your 50s when you realized that it's happening, that transformation is happening?
Yes. When I stopped caring what people said, and that freed me. It freed me.
Well,
I stopped hearing. I did, and it was like,
you're definitely helping us look forward to our 50s, okay? Because we care
yes,
out here. We care.
yes. It's like I started like, okay, if this makes me happy and if it's good for my nervous system, I'ma do it. As opposed to a time like, ooh, I wonder what they're gonna say. How they gonna think about me? What I let all that go. So the only two people that it matters right now is God and me. That's it. That's it.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I felt free. I felt free from it. Another thing I had to
mhm,
do was forgive myself for everything I sent myself through because I take full accountability for all those different women I was. And I had to forgive myself. And I think we forget to do that. We have to forgive ourselves and just let it go. We have to.
it's not easy to do. It's
It's
really
not
not
easy to
easy to
do.
do.
It's not. But I feel like it's a choice too. If you, for me, this is the way I feel about it. Do I want to keep holding on to this? Is it serving me? Because I feel like if we're drinking this unforgiveness, it's like poison while the other person is going
Mhm,
on with their life, you know? So it's like,
mhm.
I had to let it go. God has forgiven me. I done some stuff. Let me tell you, I done some stuff. And I was like, if God can forgive me, then I can forgive
Hmm.
that person. Of course, it does take time for, everybody's different. But I know for me,
Hmm.
for Angus, I just let it go. I'm like, God, that's in your hand. I have
Hmm.
two columns. I have Angus column. Okay, God, I got this. I can, I'll be okay. And then I have the column with
Hmm.
God's column. Like, God, you got to take care of this situation here. It's beyond me. It's out of my pay grade. Take care of this.
Yeah,
This is for you. I had to lay this at your feet. I can't do it no more. I surrender. I surrender. I give it to
that's
you.
so real. That's so
Yes.
real because when we're going through stuff in life, when we're
Mhm.
experiencing unexpected challenges,
Yes.
and you've experienced the most unexpected challenges, just dealing with your daughter's diagnosis, and
Yes.
I'm sure that journey of not being sure if it's going to come back and not being sure if it's she's
Mhm.
fully out of the woods, and that living in that limbo of, I'm sure having faith and being fearful at times of not knowing
Yes.
and
The not
uncertainty.
knowing, the
I'm
uncertainty. Woo. Yes, that part. That like you talked
Yeah,
about earlier, faith. That's when you have to really like put your faith to, it took me a while to
to
figure out that
test. Yeah.
scripture. Faith without works is dead. So if you have faith, you have to do some work. I have to do something, and I have to give God something to work with. I can't just say, God, I got
Hmm.
faith. I have to have some work behind that. It took me a while for that to click too. So it's like, okay, I got to put my faith to work. I got to trust God. He told me to trust him. And it be times I be like, God, look, you said this in your word. I didn't write this. You said this. So I bring it back to him. You said you were going to take
That's
care of this. So
right.
I need you to take it. That's how I talk to him. You got to take care of
Yes.
this. You said you're going to do it. So I need you to come through for your
And trust in you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love what you said because your relationship with God is so personal. It's so, and you can
Yes.
talk to God as you are because He knows
As
your
you
heart
are.
already.
He
He
already
knows what's
know.
going on in your heart. He already
He
knows.
already
He
know.
already
So
knows.
I don't need to pretend. He already know. He know I like to dance. He know I like to do. I like I tell everybody when they visit my website, you probably gonna get some. You're gonna get some gospel. You may get a little twerking. You may get a little this. You may get a little that. But it's
Yeah.
for me. It's balance. So
Balance is so
it's
important.
balance, and he already know how I am, so it makes no sense for me to fake it. That's
Yeah,
me, you know. That's me.
absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
how I'm coming. He already know me. He know me better than I know myself. So why fake?
That's right. That's right. Now, I do want to ask you about the times when it was a little challenging because
Mhm.
for somebody who's in a situation right now, they don't even know that they might be in a depressed state because
Yes.
sometimes when you keep trying to move forward and you're dealing with things and you're not really
Mhm.
focused on how you feel, how you're,
Mhm.
responding, you don't really know
Right.
if you're going down the deep end until you're all the way at the bottom and you're hitting
Yes.
rock bottom. So what were
Yes.
some of the signs for you? I know when I was going through some challenging things,
Mhm.
I would want to just lay in the bed with the covers over my head. That's my signal, my sign to know,
Mm.
okay, we're going in the wrong direction here.
Yes. Yes. So for me, so back then, even though I had the support, it wasn't like the support I have now because I became a 200-hour yoga teacher because I wanted to just
Wow.
learn my whole thing. Like I wanted to learn the mental space of it, the everything. So
Yeah.
when I learned a lot of stuff about yoga, it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me
Mm.
to accept myself where I'm at because it was times I didn't want to accept myself, or I may say something, I don't like my stomach, I don't like this, I don't like that. Your body hears everything you say, and your
Mm.
cells, all 72 billion gazillion of your cells hear everything you say. So I think the mental part of it, if I had the information I had now back then, I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have had a different perspective about it. But
Mm-hmm.
I I look at things like, so we have what, 72 to 80, 70, 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day, right? There's no
Mm-hmm.
way you can control those thoughts. When you wake up in the morning, you what you do? You're thinking, right?
Yeah.
And so um, I had to get to a point now, like if something comes, like thoughts come and go, they're just like the clouds. If you look at the clouds, God gives us all the nature and everything. If you go
Hmm.
outside and look at the sky, you see the clouds, they come and they go. That's how our thoughts are. They come and they go. We don't have to believe everything we think. We have a
Yeah.
choice,
Yeah.
right? It's a choice. It's a choice if I wanted to go and get some ice cream, but I know I shouldn't be getting no ice cream this time of night. It's a choice for me to get in
Hmm.
my car and drive to the ice cream place. It's a choice.
And an
Um,
element of that is intuition, right? Because I feel like
yeah.
there are moments when we have that little small still voice, and God is like telling us something, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
ignore it. And
Yes.
then later we'll realize why we should have listened, or whether it's 2 minutes later, 10 years
Right.
later.
Yeah. Yeah. It's out the thought process. I I laugh at it now because it's like, wow, everything is mental. And so
Hmm.
when I know I'm going down the rabbit hole, like you were saying, or just don't want to talk to anybody
Hmm.
or just in this space.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it's okay to feel the way you feel. So if you need to take that time and you don't feel good or you just like, I don't want to be bothered, do that for your mental space. Back then, I wish I had that, like it's okay not to be okay all the time. I don't have to have my superwoman cape on all the time because that's what I had to, that's the way I felt. Like I had to get it all together. I had to make sure this is that. And so
And in a
it,
way, you had to,
I
because you were
did.
dealing with a newborn
I
at the
was.
same time of dealing with your daughter's
My
diagnosis.
daughter, yeah,
You
it was
had to put
a
on
lot.
your superwoman cape.
I did, but it's like the mental part. Like I felt like I didn't have that connection back then. That
Hmm.
stability that I needed. If I can
Hmm.
go back and tell the Angus back then the stuff that I know now, I think I would have handled it a different way, you know. So now that it's here, I get to share that with others. When I feel like I'm going down, it's like, okay, let me stop and recognize that, okay, sadness is here or
Hmm.
depression is here. Name it, call it out. I feel like all of our emotions are valid. All of our emotions are valid. We
Hmm.
shouldn't suppress those
And,
emotions because we are
and when you
human.
say name it, and when you
Yeah.
say name it and call it out, how do you recommend that we do that? What does that look like? Is it writing it down?
So I actually got a name for mine, and so I
Yeah.
just say I just called out. I said, "Oh, Miss Sally is here." Okay, Miss Sally, I
Miss
feel you.
Sally, not
Yeah,
Miss
Miss
Sally.
Sally. Yeah, I go old school. Miss Sally is here. Okay, okay.
And
I feel that you're here.
she represents the negative Nancy
Right, that part.
thoughts. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so I know that she's
It.
here. Okay,
Mhm.
she's here. She's here. She's not there to harm me. She's just letting me know. Okay, some things are going on, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I know that you're here, but you can go on an extended vacation. I'm good. I'm good. It's okay. Just
Mhm.
go on an
Mhm.
extended vacation.
And it sometimes I feel like when I'm like getting into that mode, especially with anger, right? Because
Yeah.
if something triggers me or it triggers me and I feel that bubbling like emotion, like, all right, let's put the crazy back in the cage now.
Yeah,
Let's
I
put the
mean,
crazy
call
because
like, yeah, call it out. Like Ayana Van says, they call a thing a thing. Another thing you said, a key word, and I'm glad you brought that up. Triggers.
Mm,
This is the
mm,
way I look at
mhm,
it. Our triggers are our treasures. I look at it
mm,
like this big old case of gold just hanging over. The gold how it just hangs over. Those
mhm.
triggers are there to help you. They're not there to harm you. That's the way I look at triggers as treasures. They're
Mhm.
there to help me. So if I'm triggered by something, that means I need to go back. Angus, you need to go back and do some more healing. You need to go back and do some more work, some more inner
So
work.
it's an alert. It's more like
It's
an
an
alert, a
alert. It's to
signal.
help you.
Mhm,
It's not to harm you. It's just saying, like there were times when I would see the father of my child, I would have this sharp pain in my chest. That was a
Mhm.
trigger. And I had to clean all that up. I had to forgive myself. I had to let all that go. When I started working on the inner me, when I would see him, it's gone. We are like co-parenting together, the best of friends. He even came down to my father's funeral, you know.
That's so
So it's
amazing.
like, and let me go back. I have two fathers. So I have Tierney has her father, and
Uh-huh.
then Danielle has her father. So it's like
Okay.
everybody gets along, you know.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. I have no ill towards neither one of them. We are good friends, co-parenting, we good. But I had to go back and clean all that stuff up because that,
And
like I
what
said,
did
that
that
was a
look
trigger.
like? And what
That
did that
looked
look
like,
like? Because I even experienced like physical reactions to
mm,
certain things, to certain
mm-hmm.
people. And I would wonder, like, how do you get that out of your body, like that trauma response?
That's in you heard of the subconscious mind and the
Hmm.
conscious mind. So it's like I look at it like this. I don't know why I think about Colorado, but I go straight to Colorado with the beautiful mountains. So you have the peak part,
Mm.
right? That is
Hmm.
your conscious mind. We go off of that 5% of the day. 5%.
Hmm.
95% is the subconscious mind, which is that stuff at the bottom, your fears, your doubts, your hurts, your pains. All that has to be cleaned up. And I do nature. I go out in nature. I'll walk in nature, listen to the birds, the trees. I get by a tree, journal, and I call it a brain dump. So I just write.
Mm.
It don't have to make sense. Just dump all that out. Even before you go to bed, dump all that out. Just release all that on paper,
Hmm.
so that you can have a good, nice rest. That's so important for you to rest. We have to
Yeah.
rest. But it does take time. And another thing, we have to show ourselves grace through this process
Hmm.
as we're going through this healing. Show yourself grace. But I feel like those traumas, it's like something happened and your body is still back there. So
Hmm.
this is what
Hmm.
I do. I love affirmations. I say,
Me too.
and I put my hand on my heart. I am safe. I am safe in my body. I am safe to feel. And if you
Thank you.
realize the word I am, even God says I am. So whatever that I am and dot, 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 that's what you are affirming. Like some people may say, I'm so tired. Like we just say it. I am
Hmm.
so tired. You keep saying, I'm so tired. Then guess what? You're going to be tired. Or you can say, I have
Hmm.
so much energy. I am energized. I am energized. Guess what? You're going to have that energy. Like attracts like,
Commanding.
right?
Hmm.
So we can call all those things into our life. You know, it's just funny how things work. Like whatever you are focused on, it grows. Whatever your mind goes, it grows. Whatever that may be. And I love that God gives us free of mind. Like we get to choose. It's totally up to you. And I say God is
Yeah.
such a gentleman. He just goes, he just sits back,
Yes.
and whenever you're ready, God, I need you, he comes right to you. But he's such a gentleman. He just lets you. And I know it's many times
That.
I done crawled back. God, I need you. I done
Yeah.
got myself in.
Knocking on the door. God, let
I
me
need you
in.
again. I need a
It's
Jesus
me.
coming to moment. Yes, it's me again.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
John P. Key
Yes.
said,
And
I'm
I just love
standing in need of prayer.
and I love your humor. You have a great sense of humor. You really
Thank
do.
you.
It
Thank you.
resonate. It really just resonates through when
Thank
you
you.
speak.
Thank you so
And I
much.
just got to ask you something. I got to ask you something because for the woman who you were during
Yes.
that time
Mhm.
when you were dealing with your daughter's diagnosis, for the
Mhm.
woman who may be dealing with the same situation right now,
Yeah.
what would you have to say from your experience? What would be the first thing that you would tell her?
The first thing I would tell her is be sure to take care of yourself first. Because I think when we going through that, or when I went through that, I neglected myself. Take care of yourself first. You have to be good for yourself in order to be good for others, right? It's like I
Mhm.
love this quote I tell myself, my mantra. Show up for yourself so that you can show up for others. You have to be there
Mhm.
for yourself. Um, there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first. It's not selfish, it's needed. You know,
Mhm.
that would be the first thing I would suggest. Take care of you, your overall. Check in with yourself. There's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
asking your like back then I wouldn't ask myself these questions like I would now I check in on myself. Angus, how
Yeah.
you doing? How you feeling? You your own best friend. You know,
Those
what's your heart
check-ins are
space
so
feel like?
important.
What's your mental space? What's going on up here? You know, go through those checkpoints. That's just like our cars, right? We
Mhm.
don't go years and years without an oil change, do we?
Mhm.
What's going to happen if we do? That car is going to break down. That's just like your body. If you don't check in with yourself and do those points and make sure you're good, eventually you're going to break down because you keep going and going and going and going. I had to learn that too. I had to learn to slow down. What am I rushing for? That's how we live. That's how we're conditioned now.
Mhm.
Everything is like microwavable. If you want to go to McDonald's, your food is done what? Right then and there. We put food in the microwave to, we want it right then and there. We had to slow down. What's so important now, if I would have known back then that I know now, breathe. Like you tell somebody, are you breathing? Yeah, I'm breathing. No, are you breathing? Because a lot of people
Mhm.
are breathing from the chest up when you should be breathing from the bottom of your stomach all the way up. That's
Wow.
prana. That's life. That's your life force.
I
So
just
when,
actually became more conscious of how I was breathing. I was like, wait a minute.
yeah, so even like, sometimes like we're like this here, because I do that all the time. It's like, okay, let me sit straight up so I
Mhm.
can breathe properly, taking those deep breaths. I
Wow.
call that love signals to my body. You are deserving
Love
of that. Your
signals.
body is deserving of that. Our bodies be working for us, so we need to show our body love. And I say, my body been with me 53 years. I got to show my body some love. You know,
Mhm.
take those intentional breaths because it releases a lot of stuff. Another thing, if we're not breathing properly and if there is a dis-ease in that area, that's where a lot of diseases come from because we're
Mm.
not breathing. We're not taking the moment to just stop and just stop just for a moment. Even if it's just 1 second out your day. God give you 24 hours. You can at least give yourself 2 to 3 minutes just to stop and then take some breath, intentional breaths. And when you do breathe, you can make some noise like, so when you do that,
Just
that's
let it out.
releasing. That's
Yeah.
releasing. You know how you do that when you get tired, you're like, whew, you're releasing
Yep.
that
Yep.
energy. You know what I'm saying? And you feel
Unconsciously doing
better.
that too.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It changes everything. So take those intentional breaths, take out time for
Intentional breaths.
yourself, and before have a routine too. Let's get into
Mhm.
a routine in the morning. What our routines look like, you know. It was a
Yeah.
time, and I know we're off topic because I'm just talking because I can go on and
It's helping. It's helping. The real is what helps. The practical things that you can implement,
yes,
the intentional breaths, these are all the things that we're looking for.
yes. So the routines in the morning. We have to. How are our routines going? I know for me, I used to just first thing when I get up, I reach for the phone. So now I was like, I got to change that. As soon as God
Mhm.
wakes me up, thank you, God, for another day. I lay there for a minute to bring
Mhm.
myself back into my body and thank my body for working for me all night long while I snored and slubbered all
Mhm.
night long. I give my body, I just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you
That
for all that you
gratitude.
do. Yeah, key. That's gratitude is
Mhm.
key. You're right. And then I read my scripture for the day. I journal. You can even write 10 things down that you're grateful for, you know. Um,
That's so
and maybe do
important.
some
That's so
stretching.
important.
You can do there are a lot of free things on TV, on YouTube. You can do like
YouTube University, guys.
come
It's
on,
a real
YouTube
place.
University. Okay. I learned a lot of
I've
stuff
gotten
from
a
there.
lot of certificates.
Okay, exactly. You could do yoga in the bed or stretches in the bed.
Yeah.
Even if you just stretch your fingers, your neck, all this stuff is working for you. You need all these things to work for you in order for you to be good for your day because it sets your tone. It sets the tone of your day. And it's up to you. It's a choice, right? And
Hmm.
I always hear people say, they done messed up my day. No, if you give them permission to, yeah, but I call it, this is what I do because I cover myself. You remember Michael
Hmm.
Jackson used to be in this oxygen machine, right? He was away
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
everybody. So I have my imaginary Michael Jackson bubble that I put on and I cover myself. And it's like, I get to choose if I want you to come in this bubble or not. It's a choice. I'm
You have
learning
the
to not
control.
take things personal. That's a hard one for me too. I'm still working on it. There's a book called The Four Agreements. One of those agreements, don't take it personal.
The four
So
agreements.
The Four Agreements, it's a good read. It's a good quick read. The Four Agreements. I'm still stuck on that one agreement. Don't take it
And that
personal.
and that's the most powerful lesson that you've gotten from that book is to don't
Yes.
take things
Don't take
personal.
things
Okay.
personal. It can be
That's
like something
good.
like somebody, a person may, let's just say I just come up to you and I'm like, oh, your hair ugly. And then
No.
I'm just going on, right? I'm going on about my
But
day.
this is
But
the world that we
but
live in of social media. People
that's
will
what
just comment
I'm saying.
random crazy things under
Random.
your posts and say the most hurtful things.
Exactly. Right. And so it's like I didn't say that poison to you one time, right? But
Mhm.
in your mental space, you done repeated that over and over and over. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
maybe my hair is ugly. Maybe she's right. So you done went down this whole spiral because of what somebody said.
Mhm.
But the thing is, because that person said that, I'm not saying that they right, because people shouldn't do that, but they do.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
whatever that person is going through, it has absolutely
Mhm.
nothing to do with me. So you know what I've learned to do? I bless them.
They're
God bless
hurting.
you. You know,
They're
may
hurting
you
in
be.
some way.
Yeah, they're hurting. It's something going on with them. It has nothing to do with me. My prayer, may you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from all sufferings. May your day flow with so much ease and peace. That is my prayer. Even if I'm just walking and I'm walking by strangers, I say that prayer just intentionally.
Yeah.
May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from all sufferings. I say that to them. I say it to myself. I
Mhm.
say it to my
Mhm.
about my family. I say it to people who are no longer in my life or have walked out of my life. Bless them, you know. Even
And
though
it's
we
so
want to
important
get
to do that.
revenge.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that really gives you your power back, your energy back when
It
you
does.
pray for someone and, or
Yes.
even a situation that's challenging or it's hurting you in some
Yeah.
way or maybe somebody offended you and that energy just lives inside of you. But when you bless that
Mm.
person or when
Yes.
just cover that person, it
Yes.
takes it right away. It takes it
It
right away.
does. And you know what? I'm going to say it like this, it's a practice. So, of course, it's
Mhm.
not going to happen right then and there. Just like with everything else, we practice how to drive, we practice how to skate, or whatever that may be. You keep doing it over and over again because we learn through repetition, right? And it becomes a
I
habit.
just, I was just listening to Bob Proctor
Oh,
earlier
yeah, I love
today, and
him.
that was one of the things that he kept driving home is
Wow.
repetition, repetition, repetition. So the fact that you just said that, that is just
Confirmation.
confirmation.
That's
It's a hundred
confirmation.
percent
I love that.
confirmation.
I love that. I love to hear that. And thank you for sharing that because that helps me. That really does. And that
Mm.
energy, you said something else. You said something key about energy. Energy is
Mm-hmm.
everything. It really is. And you can pick up on people's energy too. You really can.
Yeah.
You can pick up. Your
Yeah. Right
energy
here.
speaks for it. Yeah, it speaks. Your energy speaks first before you even open your mouth. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm like, okay, let me make sure I'm good. Let me make sure everything is good with me. Angus, are you good?
Mm-hmm.
Just doing those checkpoints. You know,
Yeah.
you have
Checkpointing
to
yourself before
checkpoint
you,
yourself. What
checkpoint
they say
anybody
before you
else.
wreck
That's
yourself, like the
yeah,
song say.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, we have to
Exactly.
do that. We have to. It's so
Angus,
important.
Angus, I could talk to you all day. Now I know what Laura was saying, how I could talk to you all day. I really could.
And I
I
can
really
go
could.
on and on too. I can
But
go
what are
on
some
and
things
on.
that you so what are some things that you're working on now, and what are you, aspiring to do with your story and with the mission that you have?
Yes, I want to get it out there to the world. And I just feel like it's no limit. I just want to share all the things, the pains, the traumas, all the ups and the downs. And I just want to help somebody. I want to serve. My mission now is to serve and to keep my dad's legacy alive because he's living through me now. So that is so important to me now. Service, being of service, just like he
I
was.
see so many great things for you. I see so
I
many great
received
things for
it.
you. I'm so proud of you. I'm
Thank
so proud
you.
of you. Even though I'm just meeting you right now, I just feel so extremely proud of the
Thank
woman. All those
you.
versions of you have led to you being this
Grateful.
beautiful light that you are right now.
Thank
And we're
you.
all benefiting from your resilience. And thank you for sharing your wisdom
Oh,
with us
thank
and your light
you.
with us today. And how can we stay connected with you?
You can stay connected to me by going to Instagram is MZZ Angus. So Ms. Angus. That's my Instagram handle.
All right, Miss Angus. And you said we might
Yes.
see a little twerking, we might see a
You
little
may
a
see,
little humor, we might
yeah,
see a
you
little
may see a everything on there. And my Facebook is Angus Smith. That's my Facebook.
Angus Smith.
Yeah, Angus
Angus
Smith.
Smith.
So yeah, on my page, I may give you some affirmations. I may give you some funny videos. I just love to make people laugh. Especially if people are going through something. I'm like, okay, it made me laugh. Let me see if I can, just share this because there's so
Hmm.
much going on down the timeline. And I'm like, let me just interrupt that and bring some laughter
Yes,
in here. Because laughter is
absolutely.
medicine too, and laughter burns calories. So laugh a
And
little more.
joy. Just the
Yes.
joy. The joy, the pure
Enjoy.
joy is medicine. However you get that,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
honestly, and ageism is truly a thing. And that is
Hmm.
something that, society has really pressed on us heavy is that,
Yes.
once we get to 30, like our life is over, but
Mm-mm,
you have
mm-mm.
truly reaffirmed for all of us today that's listening that may feel that I'm too broken, right now at the age that even in your 20s or even in your 30s or 40s, you feel like
Yes.
I'm too broken to have a full life. But you are proof. You are proof that there's more life to
Live and
live.
prove
And thank you for reinstilling in us that anything is possible at any age.
at any age. And I have to give a shout out to my mama because my mama is 77 years
Shout out to
old. My
mama.
mama is still going and still working at 77. So I have to say I get it from my mama.
Hey, and what's that song Victoria made? I get it from my
I get it from my
mama.
mama.
Oh my. Hey.
Exactly that part. I get it from her. So I got to shout out my mama. She's been my rock. She's been
Yes,
my everything. So I'm so grateful for my mom. She's helped me through so much. That could be a whole nother story, but I'm gonna leave it at that.
I
But she's
know.
helped me so much. So I have to shout out my mom. I love you, mama.
Yes.
I love you. Thank you for everything.
We love you, Mama, and we love you, Angus. Thank you
I
so
love
much
you,
for your time
patience. Thank
today.
you. I appreciate this. I appreciate this so
And
much.
ladies, that's been another episode of Healing Her Halo.
Yes.